But you know what? Before we get too far on the road, I'm gonna need to get some gas. There's bees everywhere. I'll be okay. Okay, so now that we have something as exciting as getting gas out of the way, we can go ahead and start talking about this bike, the 2009 Buell Lightning XB12SCG. We bought this bike in 2016 or 2017, so we've had it for about 3 or 4 years. When we bought it, it had 40,000 miles on it, and the reason that we bought it is because my husband is a Buell guy. His first bike was a Buell M2 Cyclone, and he now also rides a Buell 1125 CR. So he had his eye on the Lightnings, and one of our friends was actually selling his. Before we bought it, and even as we were buying it, my husband was 100% sure that I was going to be able to ride this bike, and that was part of the reason why he wanted to buy it, was because not only did he like it, but he was certain that it's something that I could ride and enjoy as well. I didn't think that I was going to be able to, because the only thing that I had been on at that time was a 250cc engine, so I couldn't really imagine riding anything bigger size-wise or bigger powerful-wise, if that makes sense. I was kind of like, sure honey, yes, I'll try to ride it. I will try. As soon as we got it home, I gave it a whirl. I hopped on it, took it around the neighborhood, and from then I was hooked. And if anything happens to it and we can't find another one, I'm going to be majorly sad. You're going to have a sad little motorcycle rider on your hands, because they don't make them anymore. It's already an older bike. It's what, 11 years old, so they're just hard to come by. So anyway, I don't want to get too far into the whole Eric Buell Harley-Davidson story, but for those of you who don't know, I'll give you a little bit of information about it. Basically, once upon a time, Eric Buell was designing motorcycles for the Buell name, but under Harley-Davidson. So Buell was owned by Harley-Davidson. So he was designing these bikes, and some of them being sports bikes, with Harley engines. And so what you see is a sports bike, what you hear is a Harley. Having a Harley engine, I want to say that's a big part of why this bike is the way it is. And what I mean by that is, it is a rumbly bike. You sit at a stoplight and, I mean, this thing shakes. It's probably not the shakiest bike out there, I'm not saying that by any means, but you know, you're definitely moving around. Maybe that bothers some people, but I don't mind it, and I don't know, I kind of like it. It just feels rough and basic, and I kind of like that about it. Along those same lines, this bike shifts pretty darn clunky. It's not one of those smooth running modern machines that, you know, you have to guess if you shifted. No, you will know. You have to be kind of deliberate about it, and you not only feel it, but you hear it too. Again, I don't mind it. I kind of like it. So going back to the whole, I wasn't quite sure if I could ride this bike topic. A lot of the reason why I can ride it is because it has a pretty short seat height. I think we even have the low seat on it. There might be it's a stock seat, but there might be another stock seat that's actually a little bit taller. Another thing is that it has a pretty low center of gravity, and so it's not top heavy, which makes it easier for me to get on and kind of, you know, pick up. It doesn't feel like I'm using all of my might to push it up off the kickstand, and so that makes it easier for me to, I don't know where I'm going. Another reason why this bike is so cool is because of its short wheelbase, and so there's not really that much distance between the front and the rear tires. That makes it, well, that's part of what makes it so maneuverable. It doesn't really take much effort to just kind of lean it into turns. Alright, honestly guys, I think I drove way too far past my turn. I don't know where I am. Oh, good thing I have gas, right? I'm gonna run out of GoPro battery before I run out of gas. Oh no, I didn't miss my turn. It's right here. Yay! Oh god, the hill. I would say this bike is definitely a good bike for anyone who's petite or short. For any women motorcycle riders out there, I never thought I'd be able to ride something as powerful as this bike, as high of a CC engine as this bike, because I don't know, I just like every bike I sit on, you know, they're just too big for me and I just don't feel comfortable on them. So I'll have a bike in mind and I'll think, oh, that's a cool bike, you know, let's go sit on it. And then it turns out, you know, it's like, oh, this is way too big for me. It's too heavy. This bike is none of those things. And you don't even have to be a short person or a woman rider to appreciate it. My husband loves this bike. He might even have more fun on this bike than he does on his 1125 CR, because that thing is kind of, it's kind of a monster of a sports bike. He'd probably agree. So he has a lot of fun on this thing. It's just so easy, so maneuverable. It can take twisties perfectly. It's just a fun little bike to ride around on. The riding position is pretty comfortable, so it's kind of interesting. It's the foot pegs are a little bit back, kind of like, you know, how a regular sports bike would be, I guess. The way the bike is designed and the way the handlebars are, you're kind of sitting over the airbox, and so you're sitting upright. My arms aren't extended too far. It's not like I have to reach for the handlebars. It's just kind of like all right here. I'm just kind of sitting on top of the bike. It doesn't put a lot of stress on, say, your wrists. I don't want to say that I'd be able to ride a couple hour long ride and be comfortable, because I'm sure my booty and back would be hurting by that time, but you know, then again, I don't know if it's designed for something like that. Something else that makes this bike pretty unique is that this, whoa. I was about to use my hand gesture there, and then I had to brake and I was like, no. Something else about this bike that makes it pretty unique is that the gas is actually held within the frame of the bike. So all of this right here is like where the air filter goes. It's an airbox cover, it's not a gas tank. The plastics are, I think they're called smoke, I'm not quite sure, but it's not matte black, it's like a clear black, and so you can actually kind of see through the this airbox cover right here. And I don't know if you can hear that whirring noise. That would be a fan. There is a fan that I think sits under the seat of this bike. I could be wrong, but there's a fan basically there to cool off the engine. That goes off every once in a while, and it'll go off when you're riding, it'll turn on when you turn the bike off. Even with that fan there, it can still get pretty hot. So if you're sitting in traffic on this bike especially, and if it's a hot day, there is just so much heat coming off of the bike. I mean, if there's anything that I would say is a con to this bike, that might be it. Just the fact that it gets really hot around your legs sometimes. But because I love this bike, I wouldn't say that's a con. This bike has no cons. It's perfect. And I keep passing by these people on cruisers today, and they're not waving back at me. I think it's because I'm on a sports bike. If only they knew it was a sports bike with a Harley engine, I'd wonder if they would wave. Dun, dun, dun. Here's the fan again. Hear it? I don't know if you can hear it. It's a very, I don't know if you'd say a motorcycle is throaty. Is that, would you say that about a motorcycle, that it's throaty? I don't know. It's just very rumbly. Listen. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay guys, well thanks for joining me. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'd love for you to stick around and let me know what you think about the Buell Lightning in the comments below. Do you have one? Do you want one? Do you love yours? Do you not like Buells? Whatever, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Alrighty, catch you next time. Bye.